Just another quick comment back in Acts chapter 19, the chaos at Ephesus. I mentioned this Black Awakening connection, and I think people can read that to see if there's anything to this mass invocation of demonic spirits in people, that there's sort of a initial run of it in Acts 19 when you see how the people were taken over and almost cost the life of Paul and his followers, chased them into the arena, if I can remember right, or the amphitheater at the time. So, in closing, I just want to say that I'm putting a further hypothesis here that this leads me to suspect that there are plans that are being prepared for a future mass evocation of this wormwood god or goddess. And there's three aspects that appear to me from the literature that are required to have a successful mass evocation. The first, it helps to have the use of drugs to chemically assist humans in establishing contact and opening portals to the spirit world, to actually overcome whatever limitations we have, any barriers to overcome them. And I would say that if you do some studying in this, you will find, and you're probably already aware, most of you, that a very large portion of our population is already on mood-enhancing or reality-altering drugs. Many of these are, in fact, tryptamine-based products that affect our neurotransmitters, and in many ways are very, very close cousins, very similar in their look to serotonin, to DMT, and similar chemicals itself. And their chemistry is just very, very close to hallucinogens and their effect on neurotransmitters. The long-term effects of these chemicals, since there really so many of them are new in this generation, are not understood, but they have documentation where some of these drugs have gone and had the opposite effect at a later date, unexpectedly, of psychotic events that result in suicides, that result in death events of people, and even some of the mass shootings which we've had, and some of these shootings at schools and things, they have later found out that some of these chemicals, these people were on them, and suspected that exacerbated an event that caused this effect. Now, I also want to make sure people are aware that it's not just drugs that you take that can cause this. This also includes foods. And we are surrounded by an atmosphere of genetically modified foods. Our corns and soybean are almost 100% genetically modified. Other drugs or other foods are in this case. Also the water we take. I heard Brother Chris's comment about my water here. Fluoride is in a large portion of the population. And further study, by the way, I did on fluoride shows that it does have an assisting effect. One would think because of this calcification process in the pineal that it actually inhibit its performance. But other literature I found that fluoride chemicals can actually help take these particular drugs and transmit them and get them through to the neurotransmitters. They help facilitate their function. But our prescription drugs right now are probably the most abused drugs for hallucinogenic experiences or even religious experience, for things that aren't illegal. Sometimes they're prescription, sometimes they're over-the-counter, but those are being used right now. And to keep an open mind on what we ingest as being possible use for sorcery, I'd just like to remind our listeners that what did Satan offer Eve for her first experience like this, her first mystical experience to be illumined and to know knowledge? It actually was a food. He suggested she eat a particular food, and this would open eyes and help her see good and evil. So it's not just chemicals you take. It can be foods and other things that have this effect. The second leg of the triad for mass evocation are rituals. And rituals are events like you picture for magic spells and activities that occur. My hypothesis and my suggestion is that rituals, the reason why they're a key component to the evocation is they have some kind of effect in focusing faith. That there's some further human limitation in being able to stay focused in the spirit world, and rituals assist humans in being able to stay focused. And that's why the Bible is very, very careful, I believe, about graven images, because graven images can actually serve that function of focusing faith in bad directions. And that's why icons, I think, are a real danger. Any kind of graven images like this that can focus faith, one has to be careful on because what one might accomplish with it. Uh, and I believe these rituals are already going on in our mass media. I think we're already becoming acclimated. In fact, probably leading the charge amongst the media are our movies and our music for doing overt pagan occult rituals in our music with our top artists in our movies as well too. If you see sneak previews in the movie theater, almost every one of them are about some kind of occult activity, and such activities are ongoing. In fact, we've even gotten young people acclimated through Harry Potter and other things to make this just sort of a normal part of what's going on. But then we have TV. TV is doing the same thing too. I mean, we have video games that actually have these kind of activities. And even if you look at single events like Super Bowl halftime shows and things like this, these kind of events are happening over and over again, acclimating us for this importance of rituals. And in fact, I would just go back, just to give you another example, to the early days of Nazism, when they would have these Nuremberg demonstrations. Those were carefully constructed rituals to focus people's faith in Hitler and this ancient belief system that he was selling. And so we're being prepared in a similar form, I believe. Now, the last leg of the triad are willing subjects that are willing to invite the spirit or host. I believe God puts a protective barrier for those who do not want contact with the spirit world. Usually, when we are harassed by demonic spirits, it's because we've allowed some portal that we've opened a door for them, whether it's a Ouija board or other occult activities or things like this. And so they need to get the population more willing to invite these hosts. And I believe that there is a major PR effort, public relations, that have been going on for decades in our society and our media to create sympathy for the devil and for other dark forces. And a couple examples I would use are TV shows like Fallen on ABC, which actually showed a fallen Nephilim that was trying to get redemption. This movie Legion, which actually showed Michael the Archangel rebelling against God on our behalf because in their storyline God wanted to destroy us, along with Gabriel, and Michael comes to fight God on our behalf. Even shows like Medium, which put a happy face on these kind of activities of connecting with the spirit world. And I think you will find for other people who don't fall for these kind of things that there are more subtle things, very kind, gentle, light worker type New Age activities, the environmental movement, Masonic activities, Masons, yoga, martial arts. These all can be seemingly unassuming adult entryways into inviting, becoming acclimated and inviting portals for these kind of evocations. And I just want to point out here that human assistance in this process of bringing forth these three aspects may not always even come from willing or even witting subjects that are aware of what they're doing. There can be many executives in movies and television, other kind of things, and publishing who aren't aware of this kind of stuff and do not realize they're even promoting it. Not every one of them wears a cape and horns in the back, although there are some that do. I would submit that probably most Americans that aren't Christians, their basic gods mostly are Mammon and Bacchus. They worship money and they worship pleasure. And anything that they find fun or fulfilling, but they can be unaware subject to help promote this activity. So in conclusion, I'd just like to say that in summarizing, drugs play a key role in opening portals and contacting the spirit realm, and not all, but many, but not all of them are hallucinations, and many of them are well documented that cannot be explained by just mere hallucinations. The consumption of substances with psychotropic properties are becoming increasingly significant in their impact in recent days. Some are done wittingly, some unwittingly in this process. And again, there's new developments as far as additives to our food and water to expand it. And this evocation scenario that I've shown here, even a black awakening response by the subjects, can even be consistent with at least one biblical interpretation or understanding of these passages. There are actions, I believe, now behind the scenes right now to prepare for this event, that it is premeditated and being planned, and that I do not know, Christians may or may not be around to see this event.